Welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. We're talking with Oregon's 3rd District Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Welcome once again to Straight Talk. Let's talk about Russia. It's been in the news a lot, but there's been some significant developments this week. You supported the appointment of a special counsel to investigate possible ties between Russia and the Trump administration. And this week, a significant development with special counsel Robert Mueller convening a grand jury in Washington, D.C. to help investigate allegations of Russian meddling in our election in the fall. Subpoenas have gone out. What are your thoughts about the investigation? How do you think it's ultimately going to conclude?
Well, I hope that it concludes by providing more clarity. I mean, there's no question. The only person who doubts that the Russians interfered with our election appears to be Donald Trump. Mueller is a professional. What we're finding is that the news media is doing its job, digging out information. It seems like every day there's a new revelation. And I hope that it continues that momentum. It's exciting for me to see that there's a couple of bipartisan proposals to protect the integrity of the special counsel. I think that's an important development. And I think we'll be surprised about how fast things come to a head. But it's going to take a long time because this is complex. It's important. It needs to be done right.
People who are loyal to the president and the president call it a fake story, a distraction, a witch hunt. But there's at least one Republican senator who's distancing himself. First-term Republican Jeff Flake from Arizona wrote a book called "My Party is in Denial" about Donald Trump, saying his party has done little to push back against the president. The book, described as a daring political move on Senator Flake's part, is getting a lot of pushback from conservatives. I want to read you a paragraph from the book and then get your reaction. Flake writes, "Under our Constitution, there simply are not that many people who are in a position to do something about an executive branch in chaos. As the first branch of government, the Congress was designed expressly to assert itself at just such moments. It is what we talk about when we talk about checks and balances. Too often we observe the unfolding drama, along with the rest of the country, passively, all but saying, 'Someone should do something,' without seeming to realize that that someone is us. And so that unnerving silence in the face of an erratic executive branch is an abdication, and those in positions of leadership bear particular responsibility." Criticizing his own party, people say it may make him tough to get reelected. Do you think as this investigation with Russia goes on, we'll see more Republicans distance themselves?
Well, let me just say what's unusual about Jeff is that he wrote it down. I hear expressions like that every day in the Capitol.
From your Republican colleagues?
From Republican friends who are very concerned. They don't know where it's going to lead. They don't feel comfortable. They are distancing themselves psychologically and personally from the president. They don't trust him. He doesn't care much about them. And you're going to see more people, particularly as the president continues to become more and more unpopular and behaves erratically, more and more are going to express openly what they say privately.
Shifting gears back here at home, transportation is such a big issue. People are so tired of being stuck in traffic. People in East Portland, East Multnomah County just want to have sidewalks and paved roads. You had a big meeting on Thursday night. A lot of people attended. You had air conditioning,
yes,
which was nice. What are people telling you? I mean, the president promised an infrastructure package, $1 trillion infrastructure package. What would the people in East Multnomah County like to see if we had the money?
Well, I told them not to hold their breath because the president talked about a $1 trillion infrastructure package. He hasn't done anything to implement it. And in fact, he has proposed $200 billion in cuts to transportation funding. People continue to be deeply concerned in East County and East Portland about the challenges. For example, Powell Boulevard is a state highway that is unsafe. But people are encouraged, as I am, by what the state did. People came together, the legislature, private business, local government, TriMet, bicyclists, a whole range of people. And we're able to have a transportation package for the first time in years that's going to make a difference. There's a big investment, $120 million or so, for Powell Boulevard that desperately needs it.
What do people think about the tolls that are included in that package?
Well, there will be a lot of discussion about how it's going to proceed, if we're going to have tolls, and if so, how they're going to be implemented. I think there is a realization that at some point it is better for us to have a congestion charge, or we pay for the road use, rather than just gallons of fuel consumed. Because that's a way to help modify behavior, encourage people to use the facilities when it's not at peak time, everybody leaving at 5 o'clock in the evening if they don't have to. And also because we're reaching a point where we're transitioning our transportation system. Within 10 years, we're going to have a vast array of electric cars. The autonomous vehicles are all going to be electric. We're not going to be selling as much gasoline, and we're not going to have the gas taxes. So we're going to have to transition to a new system.
You're a big proponent of bicycle use. What do you think about the bicycle tax that's included in that plan?
Well, it's not how I would have designed it, but I've asked my friends in that space to think about what they got out of it. I mean, people treated the cycling community very seriously. There's major investments that are guaranteed for cycling. It's not just the money from the bike tax, which is going to be $1.25 million, but there are tens of millions of dollars for safe routes to school, the flow from the Highway Trust Fund. One of the complaints that is often argued is, well, cyclists don't have any skin in the game. I don't necessarily think that's the case, but this is going to keep that at bay. But we need to look at these programs as a whole. This package as a whole is good for transit. It's good for cycling. It's great for some of our underserved neighborhoods. And I think it's going to help us get a little more advantage to trying to rein in this congestion. I come home every week, and if I'm not on a bike, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, it's terrible. It really has gotten bad out there. We only have about a minute left, but I want to touch on marijuana. That's a subject important to you. We're seeing legislation from both the Senate and the House that could put Congress on a collision course with Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He thinks the administration should double down on federal marijuana laws. Where do you think, in about 45 seconds, where are we going with marijuana laws in this country?
Well, as a practical matter, where Donald Trump and marijuana were on the ballot last year, marijuana got a lot more votes than Donald Trump in those 9 states. It passed in 8 out of the 9. We're watching more support in Congress. We're watching millions of dollars being generated to support local governments, to support law enforcement, support education, and people are responsibly developing this industry across the country. Over 300 million people now have access to some form of legal marijuana. I think that train has left the station, and I think we're going to be all right, and Oregon is helping lead the way. You
think we'll have, just a few seconds, you think we'll have legal marijuana nationwide anytime soon?
I think within the next 5 years, every state will be able to treat marijuana like they treat alcohol.
Congressman Blumenauer, thank you for joining us here on Straight Talk. And thank you for watching. Join me next week when my guest is Washington Senator Patty Murray. Have a great week. Thanks for watching.